Hi, we're taking a couple of weeks off for the Christmas and New Year's holidays. Here is an Encore episode that many folks have found useful. We hope you will as well, whether it's your first time listening or your second. We'll return with all new episodes on January 16th. Best wishes for the holidays and the new year. In business, the name of the game is to succeed in helping both your client and your company achieve their goals. In order to do that, you must set clear, client-centered goals, conduct successful operations, track goal attainment, and consistently manage results. We'll discuss how to do these in today's episode. Hi, I'm Rick Kendall.
And I'm Fred Ball.
Welcome to Management Mastery. The purpose of these podcasts is to share what each of us has learned about good and bad management in our combined over 40 years of experience, both as managers and executive coaches. During that time, we've coached managers at every level in companies from Fortune 100s to brand new startups in all major businesses, including nonprofits, government, and education. So whether you're just starting in your first management position or are an experienced manager looking to strengthen your management skills, we know our podcast will be valuable to you. In today's episode, we're going to cover three areas: how to conduct successful operations and the role that you as a manager play in that, the steps in succeeding in your operations, and how to track your goal attainment and consistently manage results.
As Rick was saying, it first starts out with setting a clear direction and then achieving results. And what's in between those two things is execution. And that execution must be done well. Many times, a new manager is more focused on things like strategy than they are on execution. And yet execution is absolutely critical to your success. It's a major job of a business leader. Your heart and soul has to be immersed in producing successful operations, and you set the norms of behavior. You need to reinforce the culture with your current staff and orient new staff to the importance of successful operations. And you need to hire people who believe in the process and who love to be successful.
Fred, I think, you both of us have worked with particularly startups where there was a great idea and perfectly timed, but where the startup failed. And the reason it failed was execution. The leader of the endeavor just didn't know how to execute against the goals that they'd set for themselves.
Yeah, there's no question I agree, and a number of times in coaching situations that comes up, and often it's because the leader doesn't have their heart and soul into the program, and so what happens is that they start to miss steps along the way.
Right. Well, and it's the steps, I think, that are important. I mean, the first major part of that is just translating your goals into specific actions. You want to create a set of what we've called cascading aligned goals. That is, turn each goal into an action and break it down into behaviors and activities at all the levels. And so you want to know at each step what the next step is going to be, know what's required operationally, and then set high standards for accountability. You got to articulate the strategies and results to be obtained, but you also have to empower your staff to make decisions and to select the methods they're going to use to attain those goals. You don't want to be a micromanager. And you want to set it up as a system that aligns the people, the strategy, and the operations. So you've got all the right people doing the things that they are best equipped to do.
That's exactly right. And then you want to determine and set out the few key metrics that will lead to success, and have your project managers absolutely clear as to what those metrics are, so that they can set timeframes and work schedules so everyone knows who's responsible. An example that I've worked on recently is one where engineers were on cross-sharing projects, and they needed to communicate with each other consistently, and the project with the project manager to ensure transparency and communication. Another situation that I had recently in a coaching situation was for new salespeople. They needed to know the number of calls that they were required to make during the course of a day, and how they were going to record them properly to produce a clear track record, especially so that if they ever left the organization had the record of calls that had been made, and what the notes were.
Right, and I think a part of that is also to delegate the work clearly and effectively. I mean, sometimes the problem is when everybody's responsible for something, no one is. So you want to make sure that everybody knows exactly what they are responsible for. And also to allocate resources where you get the biggest payback from them. And you want to keep communication open in a non-judgmental way and a goal-oriented way. So if people are having problems, they feel it's okay to come and tell you about them, and to work with feel that you will work with them to resolve the problem. And you got to manage their time to ensure that what they're spending their time on is in line with your key priorities. And then be aware when barriers arise that prevent them from doing what they're supposed to be doing. And it's your job to remove them.
Yeah. And even doing all those things, nothing is going to be perfect. And there are going to be changes that need to be made. And it needs to be studied. It needs to be figured out. You need to gather data. You need to talk with staff. And then once a decision is made, you want to adapt quickly. You want to work with speed and conviction. You want to thrive on the change and solving problem, but not focus on blames. And all of this has to do with connecting empathically and emotionally with the team. You want to engage people's passion. You want to congratulate them when they do something well. You want to coach them when there's something that they could do better. And you want to do as much as you possibly can to make work fun.
Right. And another part of this is really and very important, and is tracking goals and making sure, as we've talked about, making sure the goals are clearly laid out. Everybody knows what they're responsible for. And that make work fun. There was a company, I can't remember the name now, but there was a company up here in Connecticut where every time somebody made a sale or whatever, they had a big gong, and the person who had a success would ring the gong. So everybody, and then everybody would come out of their office and applaud, and so it was that kind of reward system that everybody got a kick out of. But one of the important things to keep in mind as a manager, particularly when you're setting the goals for your group, is to keep the number of goals manageable. Keep it as small as you can and as focused as you can. Because the more goals you have, the lower the probability is that you'll achieve all of them or even some of them. So you want to keep that manageable. You also want to set the goals and prioritize them so that you can secure early wins on those goals or those projects that are most important to your boss. Your boss's priorities should be your priorities. And one way to do this, and probably the most effective way to do this, is to have a visible, compelling scoreboard, ideally one that's always visible to everybody, and where the goals are laid out and the progress to achieving them is recorded regularly, so everybody can see where everybody is. So you know, where are we now? Where do we need to be? And have the key metrics for moving towards those goals, and a timeline. You want everybody to know, are we on schedule? Are we getting there? Are we not? Am I behind? Am I ahead? So there's a little competition going on, but you also want to make it a team effort, so everybody's rooting for everybody else to reach their goals.
And when you're doing that, you will undoubtedly find some people who are equal to or ahead of their goal, and you'll find some people who are struggling. And what you want to do is to watch, look, and listen for members who are getting lost or are getting behind, and then determine what you can do to coach them, to help them to get on track. Sometimes when you do that, you'll find out that the job is bigger than you thought, and you may find out that they're getting behind because the job is too big, and the job either needs to be changed or you need to get them additional help. And as Rick said, you need to clear any obstacles for them.
Right. And another part of that is, and we've talked about this, but you also have to hold everyone, and everyone has to hold each other accountable all the time. A big mistake that especially new managers make is that they allow themselves, because it's not always pleasant to be reminding people that they're falling behind and to keep nudging them towards achieving their stated goals. And so it's very easy to get distracted by other things and to take your eye off the ball. And you can't do that, because that's how the whole department falls behind. If you're not taking the goals seriously, then your staff won't take them seriously. So you want to meet frequently enough to assess progress. It could be daily, weekly, monthly. The task at hand will dictate how frequently you need to monitor what's going on. And you don't want to miss those meetings or fall behind in that schedule. Sometimes if you can't do a meeting, then you want to immediately follow up maybe with individual meetings so everybody knows that you're focused on them achieving their goals. And you want to be sure everybody is discussing the key results, major problems, on a regular basis, because the other thing that happens is you don't pay attention, and then it becomes even more difficult to fix a problem when it arises.
No questions. And then the thing that you need to do is you need to be conducting evaluations continuously as you go along. So you want to ask yourself things like, we always need to remember that the focus of the whole thing is servicing the client. Have I forged a positive partnership with clients based on outstanding service? Are we meeting the client's goals? Are we ahead in reaching the client's goals and our own goals? How do I know? What can we do better? Are we delivering superior results in the face of constantly changing business environment? And you can probably add 5 more questions of your own to this.
Yeah, what I would add is are you keeping your boss informed of your progress? So often there's an assumption that the boss knows what you're doing, and that's not always the case. They have other people and other things they have to pay attention to, and unless they have a big scoreboard with your name on it, they may not be aware of where you are. So you always want to be prepared to talk about your team's progress and successes, because if the boss doesn't hear about it or see it, sometimes they think it's not happening. So you want to keep a record of what your group has achieved, and make a point of regularly meeting with your boss and just bringing them up to speed on where you are and how you're working towards accomplishing the goals. And this is a time to bring up any problems before they get out of hand and before they come to the attention of your boss some other way. You always want to be ahead of that curve.
No question. And it's well said that you need to keep your boss informed. So to review, we have talked about if you can achieve the client and your company's goals, then you're going to be successful. And it requires first a focus on conducting successful operations and then managing those operations along the way through things like tracking goal attainment and constant evaluation of the work that you're doing.
We hope you have found this podcast useful and will come back again for more management mastery. If you have any comments about this or any of our episodes, or would like to find out more about our other services, including one-on-one coaching and group seminars for managers, visit our website at careercoachclass.com. Thanks for listening.